You know that feeling, right? That awful burning sensation from heartburn. Well, what if I told you the cause isn't always about what you ate, but about tension you're holding deep inside your body? Today, we're going to uncover this really surprising link between heartburn and one of your body's most powerful but often ignored muscles.
Yeah, we're so quick to blame the spicy food, right? Or the coffee, or that late night snack. But what if the real problem is, well, more structural? What if it's all about tension in a core muscle that's silently messing with your digestion every single day? Let's dig into that. Okay, so first things first, let's just make sure we're on the same page. Heartburn is that nasty, burning feeling you get in your chest, and it happens when stomach acid backs up into your esophagus. Simple enough. But why it happens? Well, that's where our story really gets interesting. So, let's introduce the main character in all of this, and I'm betting it's not who you'd expect. We're not actually gonna focus on the stomach. Nope, we're looking a little higher up, at the diaphragm. You know, most of us think of the diaphragm as just our main breathing muscle, and that's true, but it kind of has two jobs. It's also a super important gatekeeper for your digestive system, a role that almost always gets overlooked.
So, anatomically speaking, the diaphragm is this big, dome-shaped muscle that sits right under your lungs. When you breathe in, it contracts and flattens out. But its location is what's absolutely critical here. It's the barrier between your chest and your abdomen, right where your stomach and your esophagus meet up.
And here it is, the key piece of the puzzle. Your esophagus has to pass through an opening in your diaphragm to get to your stomach. And the muscle fibers right there, they act like an external clamp for the valve at the bottom of your esophagus. Think of it like an extra security lock, helping to keep it shut tight. So that brings us to the big question. What happens when that gatekeeper muscle, that diaphragm, is always tense? What does a tight diaphragm do to the very valve it's supposed to be helping out? This really shows the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got a healthy, relaxed diaphragm. It allows for those nice, deep belly breaths and helps keep that valve, that sphincter, secure. But on the other side, a tense diaphragm leads to shallow chest breathing. And this is the important part. It weakens that external clamp. And when that clamp is weak, the sphincter can become leaky. That leak of stomach acid, that's exactly what you feel as heartburn.
So, if tension is the problem, it makes sense that targeted relaxation could be part of the solution. And lucky for us, there's a really practical, gentle self-massage technique that's designed to release tension in this exact spot. Let's walk through it.
Now, before we even start, this is the most important rule. This is not about jamming your fingers in there with a lot of pressure. The whole goal is to gently encourage the muscle to relax. We're going to use soft contact and our own breath. All right, ready? First, get comfortable. You can either sit up straight or lie down with your knees bent. That really helps your belly relax. Now, take the fingertips of both hands and just gently place them under the lower edge of your rib cage. As you breathe out, nice and slow, don't push. Just let your fingers sink in softly as your belly deflates. Then, when you take a slow, deep belly breath in, you'll feel your abdomen expand and gently push your fingers back out. See? The motion is coming from your breath, not your hands. You're going to repeat this about 5 to 7 times, and you can even move your hands along the edge of your ribs to find different spots. I can't stress this enough. This should feel like a gentle release, never like painful pressure. Just pay attention to what you're feeling. You might notice the tissue starting to soften under your fingers. If you feel any sharp pain or anything that's really uncomfortable, that's your body's way of saying, hey, ease up. So listen to it. Okay, before we wrap up, we absolutely have to cover some crucial safety warnings. This section is so important, so please let's go through it carefully.
Let's be perfectly 100% clear. What we're talking about here is for educational purposes. It is not, and it should never, ever be a substitute for professional medical advice. Think of this as a tool to help you understand your own body a little better. But if you have symptoms that are persistent or severe, your first and only stop should be a conversation with a qualified doctor or healthcare professional. There are also some very specific situations where you should just avoid this technique completely. So if you're dealing with anything in an acute or flared-up stage, like a hiatal hernia, gastritis, or an ulcer, this is not for you. Same goes for any sharp abdominal pain or if you've had recent abdominal surgery. And one special note, if you have gallstones, make sure you avoid putting pressure on your right side. And finally, the golden rule for absolutely everything: listen to your body. If you're doing this and you feel any sharp pain, a strong pulsing sensation, or just major discomfort, stop immediately. Your body knows what's best. So the big takeaway here is that a symptom like heartburn isn't always just about chemistry. Sometimes it's mechanical. It's just a powerful reminder that our bodies are these amazing interconnected systems where tension in a muscle we barely think about can have these huge, surprising effects somewhere else. Which kind of leaves us with one last important question to think about. What else could your body be trying to tell you?